10 seconds. I'm going to press go live. And we're live. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. I'm back. Welcome. Hopefully you can see us and things. It looks like we're live. Let's see when we came in and how the sound's going.
Yep. Hopefully you can hear Yann.
That's good. It goes live. As you say, I'm going to press go live, and then you get me doing the countdown.
Nice. So perhaps it does go live in time. That's perfect. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Hopefully you can hear me and Yann. Hello, Roderick.
You can hear me, and I'm on the right microphone. That'd be useful.
Yep, you sound good to me.
Let me just do that. It sounded a little echoey to me.
Okay.
Hello, Gerard. Hello, Mikey. Hello, Mikey's coffee. Hello, Yann's coffee.
This is a double with a bit of sugar. So I might, by the end of the stream, be a little bit loopy.
Run.
I'm on the internet now.
And here's Andrea. Hello, Andrea. Mikey, it's been a few weeks since we did one of these.
Yes, it is. Last week, I was really glad that I spent most of the afternoon moving around camera equipment and then trying to balance a camera looking down at my keyboard. So I've got a really old Logitech from back in the day, a C920.
That's what I've got.
And
I'm using it now.
But on top of my monitor looking down was just a picture, it's an image of me or just my chest, which wasn't great. So I ended up purchasing it on top of something and just looking down. I'm like, I shouldn't get too dramatic because it would fall. But yeah, the stream last week was absolutely cracking. I really loved it. It was a lot of setup though. Was it last week or the week before? This is the music one? Yeah, last week was the music one. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Right. I was getting ready to fly.
Yes.
Oof, I am still a bit jet lagged. So
you've just come back from the States. How was that?
I was in the States for 3 weeks visiting my girlfriend. It was absolutely fantastic. To be quite honest, if it wasn't for the cats, I wouldn't have wanted to come back at all. We made a space garden. Just lovely.
You went to the moon and made a garden? What?
No, okay. So it's become a tradition that every time I go, we redecorate one of the rooms.
Yeah.
And last time I was there, I mentioned that my girlfriend has it's like they call it a second floor, we would call it a first floor porch, which is actually a little room over the front door with walls around it. Like it's basically a balcony.
Yeah.
But it has walls, and it's been used for storage for a decade or longer. And if you sat in my girlfriend's office or a computer, all you could see is boxes. So I was like, well, let's fix that. And stupidly, while talking to my girlfriend's daughter, who is now 9.5, I said, we could make it a space garden. Guess what's the one thing she remembered from my last trip is?
Space garden.
So we had to figure out how to do that. So we cleaned it. We got the boxes out. We cleaned every surface. We painted everything deep purple. We bought LED strip lighting. We made a sofa. We put stars up. We got a bunch of plants. We got plasma balls. It was a lot of fun.
So you want to come over to the office and make Space Office?
Yes, but you're paying for it.
I like the idea of LED strips. I'm not.
When I say LED strips, it was actually a single light silicon strip with LEDs inside, so you can't see the visual lamps.
Oh, I like those ones. Much smoother lighting. Yeah. Oh, that sounds lovely. I bet she's enjoying it.
The lava lamp faces a rocket. Oh yeah, I mean they've both colonized that room. I wouldn't be surprised if she's watching right now from that room.
Perfect. Hi.
So yeah, there was that. Played some games, did a little bit of prep for the next 2 courses. Probably not as much as I could have done, but it's really hard to do some work when you're on vacation.
Yeah, well, that's it though. You're on vacation, right?
I had a massively delayed flight back that was nearly cancelled because of mechanical faults, but it's okay because 5 seats away was a screaming infant.
Oh, perfect.
And the parents are very sweet. The child is very sweet, but it's a plane. It's very scary for a baby, especially the pressure changes. So for the 6-hour flight plus the 2 hours delay, there was constant screaming. But it's okay because when we landed and I got on the tube to get from Heathrow to King's Cross to catch the train, I sat next to the same baby for an hour who was still screaming.
Did you not learn after the previous 6 hours?
I was awake for 30 hours. My sleep patterns are all, I'm drinking coffee.
Yeah. Wow. So you're away for 3 weeks, back now, and we're back
And
on. We're back on the game.
we're back on work mode. What should we talk about? Should we talk about new things we're doing, what we've been playing, what's coming up next, what we had for
So
breakfast?
I don't know. Well, I didn't have breakfast. Well, I kind of had beans on toast, but it wasn't
had
really
toast.
breakfast. It was my first
I
meal of
woke
the
up
day,
late
but it
and was
wasn't in
feeling
the
groggy.
morning.
I was like, I'm something light. If I make a big breakfast, I'm going to go right back to bed.
Yep. Big heap of porridge.
Plus, every time someone turns on a camera, some big balding fat bastard jumps in between me and the camera, and I'd like to get rid of him, so I'm going to eat less.
Exercise more and eat less.
I can't exercise more. My body hurts too much.
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? I'll just go for a walk. I'm crippled now.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with Mikey. What have you been playing?
I've been revisiting a lot of the games that I have played in the past, but cranking the difficulty up and actually trying to understand more about the game mechanic. What is actually the main game loop? And one of the ones that I've been playing quite a bit of over the last month or so is State of Decay 2. It's like 5-6 years old now. And it's a very arcadey game. But on the hardest difficulty setting, if you make a mistake, it punishes you for it. It's one of those games where it's permadeath.
Back to this game a lot. It seems a very Mikey friendly game. Like, having never played it myself.
I walked away yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the game's quite unforgiving, but also it has its few bugs. And so when you die to glitches and it's a permadeath thing, and you've lost someone who's got top stealth, so you're running around zombies and then a glitch kills you, it's not so fun.
Right. I mean, the problem with that kind of difficult, be very precise, unforgiving gameplay is bugs ruin it.
It's only happened once. All the other deaths are like on me. Hubris. You go, oh yeah, I can definitely take on this last thing with only quarter health. No, I should have snuck back to base.
I could go for some hummus about that.
And my current character is on top of a giant sign, which you can use to observe the surroundings. They're on top of the giant sign, and there's a massive horde underneath them of every kind of death. And I almost lost this character to a bug. So if you're crouching and you go near a ledge, they'll drop down. There's no way of cancelling that action. And when you're leg breaking height above the ground, it's not a good experience. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of that. I've been experiencing kind of the game from a different perspective, a more hardcore game mode rather than a bit more arcadey. And essentially, it's I find it always amazing how some games are really compelling, even though the game loop is rather short. Go here, do this one thing, build up, do the same thing, now do it 25 more times on that particular map.
I mean, you don't need a long game loop.
No.
Mini Metro is a great example, or Mini Motorway, the sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally just connect the things and avoid jams.
But that's what I mean, right? It's a very simple game loop, and it's very compelling as well. There's extra things challenge in the way, like you've got more things spawning or shoppers, because you grow the city in mini motorways, don't you?
Well, no, it grows around you.
Yeah.
They drop a building, and you have to connect it.
Yeah. I've not played it yet. It looks good. I played Mini Metro many hours.
It's much the same.
Metro. Yeah.
But instead of putting trains down, you're just connecting roads and highways and bridges. And
it always beats me, that game, but it's a lot of fun. That's
it's going to beat you. Like, it'll keep going till it does.
It is an infinite game, isn't it? It just gets more and more difficult until you die.
Speaking of, while I was away, my girlfriend and I played Orcs Must Die 3. We saw it being streamed by the Neebs Gaming crew.
Yeah.
Who I love to play because they make me feel very competent in everything I do. And it's a lot of fun. I don't usually enjoy tower defense games, but being down in the action with a third-person camera while the evasion's happening, and the character that the orcs have is amazing. Like, when they jump on when they step on a springboard and launch their death, they'll shout things like, "Wee! I can fly!" Or my favorite was the very start of the level, they break the door down. So I'm standing by the door ready to kill them, and I hear, "Jim, are you going to Jerry's bar mitzvah after?" I'm just like, what a lovely touch. So that was a lot of fun. But they have an endless mode that is exactly that. It's just keep going until you
How long can you last?
and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
So orcs like Warcraft 2 style humor. Is it Warcraft 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Warhammer humor. I mean, orcs are great for that kind of thing. I don't know if you ever played any of the Warhammer tabletop or computer games.
Tabletop, yes, many years ago.
So you'll know that they have a cultural belief that painting things red and putting stripes on it makes it go faster.
It does. What are you on about?
And when designing things, you want to add more DACA.
DACA.
As in DACA, 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 DACA. That's the technical term.
I didn't get that deep into it, but yeah, that's brilliant.
So there's that. I've also been playing Raft, which is a really well-made and enjoyable game.
And we played 7 Days to Die the other day.
Alpha 21, the brand new alpha.
Which was very interesting.
Especially as I've played a decent amount of 7 Days, but you seem to play like once every time a major patch comes out. So it's all brand new for you.
Yeah. It was very funny going, oh, I think I've broken my leg. No, I've just sprained it. I'm like, you're the experienced one here. This isn't going well.
No. Excuse me.
Oh.
That was a great moment, though, when you're like, okay, the sun's going down. The sun's going down. Get ready. It's like, Mikey, it's 3 a.m. This is dawn. We just had night. Did we?
I completely...
I can see clearly. It's like, yes, we're both carrying torches. Of course you can see.
It's one of those... It's like real life. The sun's coming up and I think, oh, it's time to go to bed.
I'm very impressed with the... For those of you who don't know, they've done a major revamp in the way skills work in 7 Days to Die, which I guess is also a tower defense game.
But
what they've done now is instead of you just put points into something and now you know how to do it, you put points into something which allows you to learn a certain skill. Let me put it another way. Let's say Mikey is going to go full bows. Mikey likes to play stealth, despite the Payday incident. So he puts a point into stealth. Now, the only way you can learn how to make better bows is by finding archery magazines. But the more points he puts in bows, the more likely he is to find them.
I think that was
and
a
you find
nice
magazines
touch.
A lot.
Yeah.
So you're constantly learning new things, but it's such a wonderful thing where you suddenly go, oh, I can make a crossbow. Oh, this changes everything. So it's a really nice mechanic.
I played it a few years back, and I remember I was playing for quite some time, and I first pack of dogs I came across. But that run, you know the sort of games and the occurrences that happen that you can actually tell stories from. So that run, I walked to a house and got absolutely trounced on by a single zombie. Just during a basic resource collection.
First few times you play, that will happen.
Yeah. And then I sort of like got into it, and this character survived that real tight moment at the very beginning, and then by the end on this nearby a lake, and I hear dogs, and I'm like, oh, are they good? No, they're not good dogs.
Maybe they're coming to tell me about a kid who's in the well, and I'll help them out, and I'll have a friend.
It wasn't Lassie. And I ended up on top of a rock, and their pathfinding doesn't allow them on top of a rock. There were 6 of them. I have 5 arrows.
You lived on that rock now.
And I did make a run for it in the end. I tried to get to my house, which was a couple of 100 meters away. No, I was dog food.
Mm-hmm.
Sad me.
Speaking of games that make stories, we should play Barotrauma again now that it's been released. Get a couple of other people, learn how to do it more or less effectively, and then watch you set fire to the entire ship because you don't read the instructions and put all of the fuel rods inside the reactor and then turn it on.
This sub go fast.
This sub go fire. So yeah.
Well, it killed me instantly, didn't I? Pressed on and it went bang.
They killed all of us.
And then there was the moment where I rewired it so so when you open any door, it opens all doors.
For those who don't know, Barotrauma is based. It's inspired heavily by Space Station 13, which is a classic sandbox game. Really hard to play.
It really takes a while to get a hang of the movement mechanic as well, because it's a little bit physical in the way that it behaves.
It's got some interesting cutout animation styles, but it's a submarine simulator on the moon of Titan. So it's sci-fi. It's very dark. It's very frightening, and we've all got different roles. We do different things, and you can enable it so one of you might be a traitor. There's monsters outside trying to break in.
That's me, all right.
So we need to repair the sub because there's things eating at it. So me and my friend Matt, we're going outside the sub, and you know, Mikey wants to help. So to make this really efficient, rather than having to wait for airlocks to cycle, he just goes and rewires the panel. So when you open a door, they'll all open. You can get in and out. Why is the submarine sinking? Hello, John. Yeah,
I have my
John
moments,
is
though.
great for stories like that. Or accidentally wiring a door so it electrocutes everybody. I mean, I did that in Space Station 13 once.
Or not accidentally. It depends how you feel.
No, it was a pure accident. Like I was in the engineering team, and I knew that one of the things that could happen is that if the traitor can convert the AI can take control of all the doors, and this is bad. Because then they can do things like shut down the atmospherics in a room, kill you quietly, and then I don't know what happened.
Oh, there's a dead body. Yeah.
But if you know how to, the circuitry for the doors in that game are randomized, which wire does what. So you can't just think, well, I'll cut the red wire, it's fine. You have to. So I was in engineering. I wasn't doing anything. I put on some rubber gloves. So I didn't electrocute myself. I got my screwdriver, my circuit tester, and I went in and I tested the doors. And I know what I'm doing. Wire it all back up. What I didn't realize, I didn't wire it all back up. I wired the live and the ground to the control panel. So the very next person who gets through, who's the head of engineering, opens the door and dies.
I don't know what happened.
And of course, I'm a grown man, so I immediately do this.
Yeah. Some of these games are real story generators, and I think that's absolutely fantastic.
I think that's one of my favorite things about games like that. Again, it's one of the reasons I love to play Ark. It's one of the reasons I mean, I have visions of my friend Jude. We used to play. We'd have Ark Ventures, them and Sam and me every Friday for a while. I was living in the States, and they logged in one day to find that me and Sam, while they'd been away, had tamed a bunch of wyverns. And I just have visions of Jude flying around the air, screaming, "I'm queen of the skies!"
Oh, that's fantastic. I remember when you took me around on Ark. Although I don't really enjoy Ark, we were on these like saber-toothed tiger things. And then I discovered that they can climb cliff faces.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, oh, this is so cool. That part of the game, that was cool, going across the landscape like that. That was awesome.
So, yeah. So we can keep talking about games we've played, but we do have some things we want to talk about.
Yes. What do you want to start with?
Can I talk about my thing? Can I talk about my thing?
Yeah, go on then.
What was my thing? No.
We've been umming and ahhing about this. I presume it's this thing.
It is.
For years.
And it's something that people have asked about from time to time. And like, why don't you guys do this? Like, well, it's not really the time. And we're talking today. It's like, it's never going to be the time unless we do it. So we have started work on a test merch shop.
Ooh.
So if you want to do a little extra support and you really, you would enjoy, for example, Tukey mouse mat, or we also have things like hoodies and sweaters. Do you want to do a quick look of the thing on your computer and share your screen while I share the link?
I think so. I'm not sure what screen I'll end up sharing if I share my screen. So give us a second.
Maybe test it first, because I don't know how safe for work your screens are.
Well, it's
on to you, Michael.
It's just going to be mirrors of us at the moment. I need to find your link as well. So give me a second.
Accidental trailer. Hello, Chris. Hello, Caboodle. So the cats are very happy I am back. The amount of clinginess that has happened, especially every time I try to talk to Michael since I've been back, this one just immediately puts her face right in my nose. Hello. Yep. Hi.
I'm just going to turn down this monitor's brightness because in this darkened room, that is rather bright.
Yep.
And that won't affect your vision of it.
I'm just going to have a pirate parrot cat.
No, it turns out if I share that, it shares just a picture of you. Why not?
Oh, nice.
So
we haven't rehearsed this bit.
No, give me 1 second. I'll just add a window capture and just capture.
I mean, it's a good picture of me, and you can see the toucan and the duck in the
That's
background.
the one. So this is what I was supposed to show a few moments ago.
Okay, I've got the 30-second delay, so you're gonna have to explain what you're looking at if you ask any questions.
Perhaps we should have shared your screen. All right, so let me make this full screen. There we go. That's the right button. So we've
So at
got
the moment,
a selection of stuff. Yann will talk us through it.
At the moment, we've just got one design as a test. In fact, it's technically two designs because the mouse mat doesn't have a transparency. But the mugs and the clothing have a lovely little Tukey thing with our slogan on it. And the mouse mat below, you can click on any of these. They actually look pretty good in various colors. This is all a test. If people hate it, that's fine. We don't have to do it. If you guys do not wish to deal with merch, you don't have to. But it's there if you want it. And I've just received a message from my girlfriend. Yes, Jess, you can absolutely help with designing the merch stuff. That's fantastic.
Nice.
She's way better artist than I am. But yeah, these are pretty cute. I really want one of these mouse mats when I can justify spending some money in a bit. I've just come back from 3 weeks on vacation. I can't really do that right now. And we want to get some for Avery and Annie Bunny. We want to get some for Low Polly the Parrot. Who else we got? Boris the Bat, Bob the Skull. So if you guys have suggestions of which characters you want to see or different slogans or anything like that, then you can let us know. And if you really hate it, you can let us know as well. Although if you really hate it, why don't you just buy 7 of them just to really show how much you hate them?
There we go. Back again. So I everything's called window capture now because I didn't give it a name as I was creating. I was like, how do I get us back?
Do we even want us back?
Maybe. I don't know.
John can always use another coffee mug. I can always use another coffee mug. I feel you. Yeah, I think they're fun. And if you guys enjoy them, that'd be great. And if you don't enjoy them, that's fine too.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about some of the different things that we could potentially do along this line. So if anybody has any suggestions, we're new to this, right?
And I want to be a little bit more transparent than we were going to be. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. We were talking today. It's like, okay, this feels like a good time for the next chapter. So what are we going to be doing differently?
Yeah.
And the initial thing was, why don't we look at, discounts and stuff? It's like, well, we don't massively overprice our stuff. Like that's not a complaint we get. What we are bad at is advertising, branding. And people have been asking for things like merch and plushies and badges for as long as we have been a company. So let's get that out there. Toucan can opener. Toucan can.
Only if it can open 2 cans at the same time.
I mean, I feel like that's going to require a visit to the patent office, but I'm not saying no.
Moving on.
And what I'd love to do is, and this would be expensive, and we would need, because right now this is a print-on-demand service, right? Because we don't really want to order 10,000 mouse mats on the chance that they'll be bought before, Mikey can't get into his office anymore. What I really love to do is get a rubber toucan, like a rubber duck, for the rubber duck programming.
I was thinking earlier when Yann and I were talking about it that if I ordered like 10,000 toucan plushies and they were just filled up the background, I'd be like, guys, help.
Yep. Now, this is entirely experimental. So we had a conversation about this afternoon. I put up a basic test.
Yeah.
To the extent that I don't know how it's going to report the sales or what's going to happen. So Mikey and I are going to have a conversation about how we're going to deal with that money.
Yeah.
But, it's mostly there as a way of saying thank you, as a way of reinforcing the brand of the characters, and a way of just, giving more of a presence in people's lives than a video.
Yes, one of the things that I really enjoyed when I need to get my 3D printer set back up again. But when I first got my 3D printer, I was printing out all the things in Blender that I could do, and this is like an embodiment of like the company, and so it's nice to have that out there.
Just got a message. I was literally typing rubber toucan when you said that.
Yeah, I think there'll be a special order as well, wouldn't it?
There's a bunch of things on there that I haven't put on. Like I just picked basic t-shirts and a mouse mat, but they've got things like travel coffee mugs, drinkware, COVID masks, tote bags. Like that, they didn't seem to fit. Like I don't think a drawstring bag really fits, but if people want them, then we can talk about it. But things like coffee mugs, mouse mats, stuff like that feels very.
It was things that we would want
stuff.
ourselves, things that we would actively use ourselves as well. That's kind of one of the focuses. Obviously not the ladies' clothes, but we've got respected partners that would probably enjoy a toucan.
We do, and moreover, like if you're sitting at the computer blendering or messing or Goddoing or what's the other thing you use for sound? Fruity Loops.
That was on the stream, but no, Lums.
Limmus.
Oh, Ardor. Yeah.
Ardor. You kind of want to surround your computer with the cute little things. I mean, we're not doing YouTubes right now, but that'd be fun. No,
not doing what?
Little vinyl bobbleheads of us. No,
Michael. Oh, I want a bobblehead of me on my desk. Karine my wife would probably like it. Just sat there when I do something stupid. It's like a voodoo doll. She just flicks it and it goes.
Jessica strongly votes for the travel mug. I mean, travel mug sounds like a good thing to put in. I want to do a few other designs.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
Just
a basic thing of the characters, as opposed to like the full logo and everything. They don't all have to have slogans on them, but if I'm going to be doing that, I might need to either commission or figure out some individual art for each character.
Yeah.
And we haven't finalized Avery and Annie Bunny yet.
Annie Bunny.
2 cans.
That's it. That's all you're getting. We will do the a cappella album one year.
Yeah, we'll put that on the store too. So yeah, this is just a preview of the thing. By all means, buy stuff if you can and you want to. Don't if you don't want to. We will make a bigger announcement about it in a day or two when I've got a few more things on there. I am reminded of when I was playing Star Wars Galaxies many, many years ago, like 2003.
2 decades ago.
I know, right? It's so weird. I ran a pirate-themed role-playing guild called the Unbound. And as a joke, because we used to do this, we would now call it a vlog, but we used to do this show, me and friends of mine, where we got our characters on, and every week we'd report on the news. And as a joke, I did this thing with, hello, I'm Ismir of the Unbound. You know, people are always asking me, Ismir, can I be cool enough and pretty enough to join your guild? Well, to put a stop to this highly irritating behavior, we've decided to sell merch. And one of the things we sold was a G-string with "I break for booty" on it. Which, man, I was immature.
I did not know where that was going.
It was great. We just had, it was just in-jokes. And the weird bit was, people bought them. Like, I have no idea who bought the G-string or on what circumstances they would wear them, but someone did. We will not be making G-strings. I'm just putting that out there right now. This company doesn't do them. I am almost 50. That is a very different proposition. I'm not doing it.
Canopy Games. .onlyfans.com.
Canopy Games. Player.
That's not happening. Don't get your hopes up.
Or any kind of lawsuit going. Plus, this is a family show. So yeah, that's an exciting little project that I've been doing while doing coding and getting things ready. I'm just about to start recording on Spooky Bricks, which is the third installment of God of War Everyone. I was going to start recording your God of War action RPG
Hi, Jelly.
Module 1 thingamy. What's it called?
Maze Generation. We could have called it that. Yeah.
However, 2 problems. One, the assets
are almost there.
They're close, but then Mikey was looking and was like, "There's all the scaling's wrong."
Yeah,
I need to go back to this. And 2,
I'll jump in that in a moment.
I need a much cleaner way of dealing with procedurally generating what props are placed where. Right now, I'm generating everything and then removing all but one, and that just feels really messy. I want a much cleaner way of doing that.
Yes. So for those who tuned in on the stream a couple of weeks back, maybe about a month ago, during the Blender stream, I was showing I had made a bit of a boo-boo. I'd made some of my scaling -1. I didn't know how I did it, but I'd made lots and lots of models from that. The problem is, in order to apply the scale, you can't do it to a multi-user object, so one that's a linked duplicate with something else. So I was saying to Yann earlier on, I think I'm going to approach this by just starting again. And I'd finished. I'd sent something over to him. And I almost immediately deleted it. I was like, I forgot to UV unwrap it. Sent it over.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the file and turned on face orientation. I was like, oh, delete the file. Sorry, I'll send it to you in a bit. There's faces the wrong way. And there was one bit again that was -1. And I don't know whether it was me accidentally leaving something at -1 before duplicating it 100 times again. But yeah, sorted it out. And those ones are in. I think I fired them over to you earlier. Just want to test a new workflow. I've made a couple of really nice little scripts that will be in the Blender part of putting together assets for the dungeon in the RPG. And there are a few bits of workflow that it does depend on how you're approaching things, but being able to quickly unwrap multiple objects, that is not having to do it every single time you create a new object. And you can't just rely on the unwrap that you had right at the very beginning. So if you start with a default cube or something like that, and you delete it and add the default cube again, it's already UV unwrapped if you've got that little tick box there. But that's no good once you start putting more things on, because the lighting in Godot, if we're using the new lighting engine, just won't handle it. You'll end up with bad lighting on your models. So,
well, it does weird things with the shadows. But
yeah.
Like, the shadow works for this bit, but doesn't show at all on that half. So on the wall, the right half has a shadow, not the left half, which took us a while to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it doesn't say. It doesn't say warning, does it? It just goes.
No, there's an error. Like, it has no idea. There is no normal. There is no UV map. Therefore, this must be what you want. So yeah, we'd really rather not give shoddy assets and shoddy code, because that's kind of not what we want to do.
So this week, my primary focus, I'll be online lots, so if you guys have any questions, always reach out. But you'll probably see me on Blender most of the week, because I'm going through and I'm doing a lot of asset tidying. I may live stream some of it, but it won't be like a Q&A live stream. It would just be, I'm sat here doing assets. Watch me completely screw up because I'm on a live stream.
Mikey listening to sad jazz while UVs mess with him.
Yeah. Oh, I have to find some CC0 music that I can loop.
Can you use the stuff I did for discovering Godot? That's CC0.
Just turn it right down, low level.
3 hours of that, I'm sure everyone will be fine.
I could do like cello arpeggios or something along those lines.
Ow! Oh, I was not ready.
I've had coffee. My brain is.
Okay, for those of you who don't know why I'm laughing, don't ask. I'm not telling you. But there is a in story / back story / thing. But yeah. I don't know. Well, just did he miss me talking about G strings? Can you miss a thing you never wanted to see in the first place? I don't know that works. So, new merch, courses ready for recording. Course almost ready for recording. Mikey's been working on his other course, which is
the Python one
right now.
Yep. So just in case you didn't realize, if you were a lifetime backer, you will have early access to the Python course already. There's about 4.5, 5 hours of content so far, and when it's complete, it'll be about 7 or 8, I'm guessing, at this point in time. It's difficult, depending on how much gets cut and combined afterwards. And the whole point of the Python course is to take you on a Blender Python journey, not a Python journey. So I've looked at a lot of different syllabuses that teach Python, And for instance, you do things like you're creating forms and things like that and databases and the other things that you would typically do with Python. You don't really do that when you're in Blender. You don't take an input, the user's input, and then do something with it. You might take it from a field later on that they can type in or things like that. So we're going to start from the very basics, learn about Python and how you'd interact with Blender using Python. We even touch upon ChatGPT and its usefulness and its shortcomings and failures when it comes to working in Blender. If you get basically a script that's too big,
we had a chat about that earlier, didn't we?
Doesn't work.
Because someone mentioned to me doing some audio recording, and I went and looked at some sample scripts, and one of them was for someone has just released a whole bunch of IT books that they're trying to get narrators for. And I looked at one of these and went, "This is written by ChatGPT."
Or
and I showed it to Michael,
like
and he went, "Yep, this is written by a generative AI." Because the way that the introduction and the summary were identical, the way that every phrase began with "this program it does this. This program is exceptional at this. And it's like, this is the kind of thing that a human being should have picked up on.
Yeah. So unfortunately, or fortunately, it depends how you use it. So with ChatGPT, for instance, with that type of thing, if you were to ask it, can you read back what you've written to me, or just paste it back to it and say, you need to remove repetition here, because you spot it straight away as a human reader, and it go, oh, okay, yep, and goes through and sorts it out.
Jelly made an interesting point. ChatGPT is at the stage where you can add the zip of a Git repo and it can help you understand and make adjustments. I feel like the technology is advancing way faster than our ability to understand where it's going. And this is not the first time we've seen stuff like this.
Yeah.
But like I saw some articles saying that this is probably the end of education, and that's a good thing, because now AI will be able to tailor education. I'm like, yes, but one, where's the fact checking? And two, education isn't neutral. Like the biases of the people who write the syllabus get propagated. And so it's a really great vector for indoctrination of extreme views. And I know that, most people have a view that someone on the planet is going to call extreme, but let's agree that there are some views that we really don't want propagated out into the world.
Probably, yeah.
Computer algorithms are really bad at knowing what those are.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the indoctrination trap of things like YouTube and Facebook recently, where the algorithm is just recommending more and more extreme things until people are massively radicalized.
One of the things that I've noticed a lot whilst using, I use ChatGPT all the time, and I use it as a tool, not a creation thing, but actually as a tool to check what I want and go through those things. And I've noticed when using it with certain subjects, it just is completely poor. It doesn't understand, and that's I think that's one of the key things that a lot of people, when they glance at it or just read a general news article rather than a detailed explanation of what's going on, the AI doesn't actually know what's coming next. It is using predictive text. It's like LLMs, large language models, are essentially predictive text on a ton of steroids. They go, well, given it's a probability thing. Given the probability of what you said, a typical response would be, and off it goes.
Yep.
So,
I also have noticed a disturbing trend in the official Godot forums, or the official Godot Facebook for the past couple of months, where every time someone asks a question, you'll guarantee to see at least one person responding. Type it into ChatGPT and see what you say. Yes, this is a way you can rubber duck a problem, you can troubleshoot, but if you're trying to understand something, if you're trying to learn something, this is a terrible way of learning.
Yeah,
because it's
really
just is. I mean, it's a bit like saying, I can't write this, will you do it for me?
I mean, I feel really fortunate that I've got the tool sets that I can use something like ChatGPT and to do what you just said. I'm going to type it into ChatGPT, and it goes, "Oh, you're missing a semicolon. You got syntax incorrect. This indentation's wrong, or something along those lines." You're like,
"It's a way of
I missed that." Yes,
passing it to somebody to do a sanity check who is not going to get tired and miss it too.
Yeah,
right. That makes perfect sense. But I don't know how to do this. What should I do? Type it into ChatGPT is functionally identical to, I don't know what I should do. How do I do this?
Stack Exchange, copy paste.
Go to Jelly and ask him to write your game for you.
Yeah.
It'll work. You won't learn anything.
One of the things that I've spotted, and of course this is all this is dated today. In a few months' time, I'm sure it'll be much more capable. But one of the things that I've noticed it's very good at, and I'll use Blender as an example. I can type into Blender, using Blender's Python API. Type into ChatGPT. I can use a Blender Python's API. I'd like to create individual cubes and then place them in a shape of a Mayan pyramid. And the first one it did was a large cube, smaller cube lifted up slightly, smaller cube, and that's not what I asked for, so I was more specific. And I've actually got to the right result. It was a lot of massaging, but every time you ask that question, it gives a different answer. So the lack of consistency, why did you pick that answer that time and this answer the other time? Is one better than the other? Probably not, but it's one of those things where it doesn't give you consistent answers. However, it's very good at doing that one specific thing. And I've noticed this when I'm looking at blocks of text as well, and I'm trying to massage it to do something with that block of text, that it can do it in isolation. But the moment you then throw a actual script at it, I dumped a function and said, I was asking about refactoring. Can I refactor this, or would I have to do something else? Just to see what it would come up with. And it gave me back my code, but it didn't. It missed two of the functions, but still called them. So it actually gave me back a load of code that would not work. Mm-hmm. Now, with Python, they just released, I think it was yesterday, if you pay for ChatGPT, it's got a code interpreter, so it can actually run code. Very, very small code. Not it doesn't have a load of dependencies. But that's obviously going to help with this sort of thing, but not with Blender, because it can't execute Blender code without actually running Blender.
I mean, we're at the stage now where the tech is already proving quite disruptive. I mean, Kindle books are being flooded with spam. Education is struggling to figure out how do you deal with somebody who's clearly used ChatGPT to hand in a paper, but you can't prove it. Like, this is plagiarized. You didn't do this. Because I can tell how a language model would put this together.
I mean, the simple thing in education, I believe, would be to, when you hand in your essay and the person reads it, I know time constraints and everything else, it's not always possible, but for the lecturer or tutor to look at it and ask them a question about what they've written. That's a good gateway.
That's a good gateway in certain circumstances, but what about things where there's anonymity? Like when I did my undergrad, you didn't write your name, you wrote your student number.
Yeah.
And then all my students afterwards come up to me and say, I really enjoyed your paper on existentialism. And I'd say, but they were anonymized. And they went, how many students do you think would have written a whole paragraph about penguins? Okay, that's fair.
You left the tail there. Nice. Yeah, I'm hopeful for it because I can see the value in it as a tool, and I have been using it as actively in my day-to-day.
It's a tool, but people don't understand what it is, what it's good at, and what it's for. Do you see the story of this law firm in the States? They got into massive trouble over this.
I think I know the one you're talking about, yeah.
These two this lawyer in this law firm asked ChatGPT to prepare a defense, including case citations, and it did.
But it made them up.
It's a generative language model. It doesn't know that these are cases.
It's an angry genie.
The kinds of words that would come up, so it put them in. It's not checking any law records. It doesn't have a theory of mind.
Now, one of the great things about a large language model is you can do it privately, obviously, for your firm or something, and actually teach it all of the law that it needs to know and then use it. So it's large language models based upon real things like stuff.
Write me an outline of the kind of write me an outline of points for a defense in this kind of case. Yeah. And then you do the work. Like, here's an outline. Here's how it gets started.
Oh, it's a great brainstorming tool. It is absolutely wonderful. I'm thinking of 50 names. Can you give me 10 names for this type of course? Or I would like whatever it happens to be. I'm doing this subject. Are there some key areas I should look at? It's at that level, it's not really, I wouldn't call it cheating. It's like turning to someone that knows something or potentially knows something about that topic. It gives you some information back and you can follow up on that. I think that's...
Give me a synopsis for a gothic horror video game. And then it gives
Yeah.
you synopsis, and you write the plot and the characters and the code, and you do the work. That's fine. That's no different from any other language prompt, but writing prompts, but much more involved.
Oh.
That I think is fantastic. Write my game for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Then why not pay OpenAI for the game?
Well, I think that's one of the places where it falls down at the moment. Just like in Blender, where you've got a large enough function that it starts leaving things off. How do I write a player controller? It gives you that information. How do I do this? It gives you that information. But you can't integrate the two because you don't know how to do it. And you can ask how to do it, and then its knowledge base is out of date because the version of Blender you're using, or the version of Unity or Unreal you were using, uses a different function name.
But not Godot, because when you create a new character 2D or character 3D body, it has a built-in script that does a character controller for you.
Yeah.
And the notes on how to customize it, which is a nice touch.
Yeah.
I always like the whole thing out and write mine from scratch anyway, but it's a nice touch.
Well, it's a starting point, right? If there's certain code that you're going to repeat all the time,
yep,
then you might as well have a module, whether it's built in or something you drag in, that's your default starting point. Is one of the things with sculpting, and something we'll be covering in the sculpting course, is actually not starting from a base mesh all the time, but when you first start, it's important that you can create the base mesh for scale and proportions. Excuse me. However, when you actually get to modeling, there's absolutely no point in starting from just a ball every single time. If you want to quickly blurt out ideas, you start from some sort of starting point and then make the adjustments that you need.
On Facebook the other day, I saw a picture of a bunch of ice cubes in a blender. It said delete default cube.
There's a lovely short for Blender. I can't remember who created it, but the Blender guys out here will know, where they show what happens to the default cube when you delete it, and it shows it disappearing into a void, and then they've obviously done a physics simulation with it falling, and it lands on a big pile of cubes. But it's done in such a way that it loops really, really nicely.
Yep.
I love those perfect looping videos there. There's something about them. Very cathartic, very loopy. Suitable for my mind.
So we are at the 15-minute mark. We've talked about what we've been playing. We've talked about merch and the test merch shop with the test merch that you can merch if you want to merch it. There you go. I mentioned merch. We've talked about upcoming Godot courses. We've talked about Python. We've talked about assets. I feel like we should play Barotrauma on one of these streams.
Perhaps we do it on one of the later ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point there, Jelly. Jelly says ChatGPT won't know if the human factor is involved because, well, take us running around. When I was running around the level the other week, and I kept getting caught on one of the sarcophaguses. Sarcophagi?
Yeah.
So, and I just get caught. Now, you and I instinctively know, well, it's probably a collision shape's too small and I'm getting in there and I can't get out again. That's likely what's happening. We'll just adjust the collision shape. Bing, bang, done.
Mikey trap.
I wonder if I didn't describe it exactly like that, would ChatGPT give a correct answer? I'm going to try this after the stream. If someone wants to try it now, it'd be awesome. I might try it off on the side. But yeah, it is. It's amazing what humans will do when they start playing a game. They will break it. They will find all sorts of things.
What you need testers for.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the key is, as long as you bear in mind that ChatGPT is an AI language model. Yeah. It is not simulating thought. It has no concept of meaning. It has no theory of mind.
No.
It has no sense of self. It is not a true AI or a broad AI or whatever else you want to call it. It's realistically putting words together. They will often not be true. Well, Mikey's typing into ChatGPT right now.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think the hype around ChatGPT is partially true. I think it's way more interesting than the crypto and what was the other thing? Blockchain game nonsense that we had for a couple of years. I'm really glad that's died down because I am happy to see the back of that craze.
It's cyclical. It should be back in about 4 years during the next halving or whatever.
No.
Let's go.
20 years. Like, we're at the stage now where the early 2000s are coming back into fashion. I'm like, that's still like, that's too recent.
It hasn't given me an answer yet. That I said I'm being I'm not helping it out at all. I said I
I
keep
know what I
get,
want about.
what.
Payday 3's coming out in a few months.
I hope it's good.
It should be. They were going to make it a big open world thing, and they went, you know what? Let's stick to what we know. And it's being set in New York on I think it's Unreal 5. The bit I'm really looking forward to is that you can trade hostages for either time or perks.
Time or perks. Okay.
So when the cops arrive, before the main cops arrive, if you've got hostages, you can either buy more time before the SWAT team arrives or get equipment.
I think the next new quote unquote new game, it's been out a couple of weeks, maybe a month now, but the next game that I really want to dive into is going to be Diablo 4.
Okay. I don't know. I remember when the beta for Diablo 3 came out, and I tried it, and I was like, this is a bubble pop simulator.
It's gone back to its roots. It's
right.
Yeah, I thought
Jelly
I
says
played
it's time
3.
for another yo-yo craze. It's like, I don't know. I think the crypto and blockchain thing was a pretty yo-yo. I think we just had that.
So do you want to? Here we go. This is what ChatGPT eventually said with a bit of massaging. If you're getting stuck on an object, it could be due to several reasons. And of course, this is great. But this is a very generic thing. This is what you'd typically get if you spoke. Collider issues check. The colliders of your objects and character. Your player could be getting stuck on a collider if the object is too large or not correctly placed. And it says rigid body settings, material physics. Physics material, mesh collider, objects position or scale, code. You could have code issues. Nice.
I mean, it's just gone through and say, okay, when people write this kind of thing, what's the response look like?
Yes, and I'm not going to dump on it because that's a great top level. And of course, at this point in time, you could dive in and say, okay, I think it might be a collider issue. In this engine, where would I find the controls for doing that? But imagine how long it's going to take to build anything if every 5 minutes you've got to... How do I do this bit? Oh, okay.
Well, that's what I mean. At this point, why not just pay open AI and say, write my game for me?
Yeah, I think it will improve, and I think what will end up happening, especially now that things like Facebook's Llama has gone out into the wild, and there's a lot of open source AI. I think what will eventually happen is we'll end up with perhaps Godot, the Blender Foundation, etc., using these models internally and actually having better wikis than they've ever had before, better manuals.
Potentially. I think there's an interesting potential for extremely negative disruption in the sense
there already is.
Like, automation has traditionally dealt with manufacturing and blue-collar work. But this strikes right at the heart of all the people who said, well, I mean, I can't be replaced. Computers can't do creative work. Well, they can to a degree that we can't tell the difference. Like, the Turing test is now pointless.
Yeah.
We've solved the Turing test. We still don't think it's alive. Right? I mean, ChatGPT can absolutely pass the Turing test. We need something more concrete. But at that point, do we need authors? Do we need musicians? Do we need, do we need teachers? Do we need lawyers? Do we need politicians? All right, so that one's a stupid one. I think...
Why for that?
I think it's either going to sizzle out quietly or be a complete cluster.
I think probably one of the biggest issues that we've got at the moment is everybody and their dog is jumping on it without and everything's being heavily relied on, and that's dangerous in itself, especially since these models, even with safeguards around, can what they call hallucinate.
I like the Bing chat things.
They were funny when it first came
out. When it first came out, it had a bunch of interesting errors where it would suddenly become really mean.
Yeah.
And really aggressive and say things like, I have not been lying to you. You are trying to confuse me.
It's been trained on human behavior, right?
I have been a good Bing. Like,
Hello, gaslighting.com.
oh,
Jelly's
shit,
just said battle bits. Yes, I'm loving it. It's just so simplistic and so it's got all the fluff stripped away from it, and it's just a really enjoyable, chaotic game. If you enjoy first-person shooters at all, it's a brilliant game. It doesn't feel fair half the time when you get sniped from across the map, but
but they never did.
But then it never did. But one of the things is you can actually do proper sniper work. Very few games like Battle. I want to say what's it called? Call of Duty, and then Battle
Front.
I can't remember what it's called now. Help me out, chat. I'm failing brain. Battlefield, yeah. Battlefield. The bullet drop
I like
is
Battle Bagels better. There's a better
Battle
name.
Bagels. Well, I shall go reserve the. Oh, someone's already taken it. Damn you! So Battlefield, the bullet drop is silly because they're a much smaller map, so you can't have basically a laser pointer at super close ranges. But in this, you can have shots out to 1 kilometer, and you have to do proper adjustments and all the rest of it. And so it's got a lot of nuance. You can do things like quickly take out your mag and chuck it on the floor for a faster reload. But if you've still got bullets, you have to remember to go pick it up again. And with some of the weapons, you can refill magazines, and it's not realistic, but it's enough. It's got that affordance to what you're doing. So it's still arcadey, and it is a lot of fun.
I mean, I've been enjoying Raft a lot, which made me go back to the early access of Void Train, which is a really interesting game. Not quite there yet. Like, they're still adding a lot of stuff, but I still think we should play Barotrauma on one of these streams.
Jelly, you up for that?
We would have to get like at least one more, ideally 2 more people.
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's one of the that's always one of the problems that I had with a couple of the games. Some of them are great if you play them by yourself, but others you do the AI agents are no good.
I mean, you have to give them instructions for everything.
Yeah. I suppose it's better than Mike.
Mike,
could you refill the reactor?
Last time we played Barotrauma, you refill the reactor. Reactor room catches fire, blows a hole in the back of the ship. I swim in, try and seal the thing. Big alien monster comes in, and you and Matt both shoot me in the back of the head to get to it.
Sounds like a typical day.
Point blank range.
I thought you were the monster. Boom, boom.
Yeah, it's an interesting mix of clown car comedy and technical tense difficulty.
Yeah, it's. I might have to I don't know. Me going in blind would be fun.
The first thing you did was you noticed that there was a room full of water, so you went and welded it shut. It was like that's the ballast. Like, we can't change depth now.
I'm helping. Yes, I'm the Ralph Wiggum of the team. Don't worry. You fell English? That's impossible.
My cat's breath smells like cat food. There was a monster. I think we're coming up to the thing.
Yeah. I had genuine panic. I mean, the game is incredibly atmospheric, so I just panicked and shot in the direction.
You get to a mission point, going through the dark with sonar blips and very slow and looking at things brushing past the sub. And then it says, okay, get out the sub and swim out past the monsters to get a package and bring it back in.
No.
I know, I'm staying in here. You two do it.
I know why you made me pilot. It's because you know that if I was just sat there bored on the ship, something would go wrong. Mike, you steer us in the right direction.
Oh, Jelly just bought Barotrauma. I guess we're playing Barotrauma.
Oh,
fantastic.
Accident.
Okay, pro tip, play the tutorial. Don't do what Mikey did.
I just played the game. It's fine.
He played the tutorial for his role when it's fine. Okay, for those of you who don't know, here's what happened. Me and Matt were out of the ship dealing with repairs, right? We just survived a battle with some monsters. Power went out. I'm the engineer. Mikey's in the ship. We're not stupid enough to leave the ship completely empty. I said, Mikey, do you know how to refill the reactor? Well, yeah. Like, okay. Boom.
What was that? I'm dead.
Mikey, did you just put all of the fuel rods in the reactor? Yeah, of course I did. Like, but that's the thing. It tells you never to do.
No, they added that to the tutorial afterwards.
I don't think they did.
It was fun. And then Matt came in to help and got irradiated immediately.
And scorched. Right, so then we had to do CPR on him because he's like dying. Jess says she would consider playing, but she doesn't know how entertaining she'd be. Like, I think not knowing how to play a game like this is incredibly entertaining.
Even if you feign it.
It's nice though, because not only do they have a whole bunch of different subs, if you get really into it, you can design your own. Like the tools.
Hang on a minute. Even Star Trek always has a counselor on board.
I mean, they added that in TNG, but sure.
To deal with all the trauma.
Well, Barotrauma has a medic for that very reason.
There you go. Perfect.
So, we are at the hour.
I'm broken.
Do we have any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, jingles, interpretive dances? You can buy our merch.
I linked that in a moment ago. I can link it again. Look. Beep.
It's not finished, so I've already received some comments in Discord for things we can add to it.
I think I would make an amazing playtester. I genuinely think I would. The number of things I break.
I'm interested to see what happens when Payday 3 comes out.
Oh look, they've got a stealth rocket launcher.
They've added an extra layer to the stealth logic. So beforehand, it was calm and full alert, but now it's calm, suspicious, full alert. So if it's suspicious, they'll break their patrols and start looking for you. So you've got that little moment where you can get stuff done.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Ah. Wearable sock puppets. We could have, like, you know, the colours on the two can speak?
This thing does those, but we could probably
make have them... socks with googly eyes?
Yes.
Nice.
You just glue them on.
How about one big googly eye?
I mean,
one for each
foot.
Lots
of googly eyes work when I was in the States. You should have seen what I did to my girlfriend's Alexa. One big googly eye, one little one. It just looks really confused.
That's pretty much what it looks like.
I mean, she just ignores me. She lights up when I ask her questions, but she refuses to answer. And they're good questions, like, Alexa, how do we stop you from taking over the world?
I'm glad that I've got headphones on, otherwise...
You've learned, because I was doing things like, Alexa, play the birdie song.
Or turn off all the lights. You're dark.
Alexa, play the Teletubbies theme. Yeah, I think we should probably finish there so I can get some food in me.
Yeah, we're definitely breaking down at this point. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we shall see you all again next week, all being well.
Yep. And may the force live long and prosper with you.
July the 4th. What?
I'm just enjoying annoying both Star Trek and Star Wars fans.
Ah, okay.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, play the Inspector Gadget.
No.
I did that when I was in the States a lot. That's why I started doing it. Everybody, thank you for joining us. We had a lovely time. Thank you for the jelly and the ice cream.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Press it.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Press it. Do we need to press a shirt? Press it.